Wow. Just wow. Marron. The Green Bay Packers just defeated the Chicago Bears 17-9. The Packers have just punched their tickets to the playoffs. I can't believe I'm saying those words. The Packers are going to the playoffs. Playoffs? We had trouble winning games. We had trouble picking up first downs this season. And somehow, we're going to the playoffs. That's unfathomable. We have no business going to the playoffs the way we played this year. And trust me, I understand. We have 1,000,000,001 excuses, right? We're the youngest team in the league. I gotcha. It's Love's first full season as the starting quarterback for the Packers. I gotcha. But the way we played this year was worse than just growing pains, right? We were lacking the basic fundamentals of football. The turnovers and the clock management issues. The penalties. All of that was stacking up at an alarming rate. We started to drop, to forget about, to throw to the wayside the basic fundamentals of football. That's worse than growing pains. These are issues you learn to correct in Pee-wee football. That's the problem. The coaches started losing the team, like Joe Barry and his defense. They no longer could read the room. From the coaching staff to the players, games that we were losing, it was worse than just, oh, they're the youngest team. Oh, it's growing pains. No, it was a lot worse than that. These were winnable games. If not for the basic fundamentals completely collapsing. That's why Packer fans were so we were viewing these games as unacceptable. It's the best word I can use. Unacceptable football. We can deal with losses because growing pains. We're the youngest team. Oh, there's a mistake there and a botch there. Some games you're going to have many. We get it. Next year we'll come back bigger, better, stronger. We'll kick some ass. And then those games, there was too many of them. We were just going, what? You could put in a Pee-wee football team and they would do better. We had too many of those games. And here we are in the last 2 weeks, and somehow we have a chance. We just have to win the last two, and we are in. And we went to Minnesota, and we whooped that ass. Joe Barry's defense even stepped up. And then it came down to this week, and if we did lose, we would need help from Tampa Bay and the Saints. And New Orleans and Tampa Bay both won their games before the Packers even took the field. So we knew before we took the field today, it was win, you're in. Lose, you are out. Nobody was there to help. And for the second straight week, we stepped up. Was it pretty? Absolutely not. You had half of it being the youngest team in the league, the growing pains, right? You had those excuses, and they're valid. Some of the mistakes that were made, no question. And then, if you know how to critique football, you watched football long enough, maybe even played like BC for many years, you know damn well that the other half of those mistakes, those are unacceptable. And we continue to make them. Nobody was our own worst enemy today than ourselves, the Packers from Green Bay. Certainly wasn't the Bears. They didn't play good enough. Why was it a one-possession game when it was all said and done? The Packers were their own worst enemy yet again. The potential of this team is exponentially better than what the record shows or what statistics show. But we can't just blame they're the youngest team in the league. It's growing pains. We can't just do that. Because if we do that, you're going to get the similar performance next year. Because these are excuses still. Do I believe we're going to win a playoff game next week? Absolutely not. The Cowboys, I believe, is who we're facing, correct? We're going to Dallas. The game just got over. I still have to see where the chips are falling, who's going where. Game just got over. Over the next couple, 2-3 hours, all the teams will be placed accordingly. So I will find out more, obviously. But I believe, depending on what the Rams did, we would be going to Dallas. I just don't see any team with the way that we're playing. I don't see any team losing to us. I don't see us beating any of these teams. Now, if we played to our capability, if we played as good as we can, I don't know many teams that could beat us, aside from obviously San Fran and the way that Baltimore is playing right now. But that's AFC. That's a good problem. That means you're in the Super Bowl. I'm not taking the Packers that far yet. But there's only a couple 2-3 teams. If we're playing at our best, I'm telling you right now, we are pretty damn lethal. But because the entire season we have shown this many gaps, unfortunately, I don't see a way where we're going to win a playoff game. But at least you got a chance. You don't even have a chance if you don't put yourself in the dance. The last 2 weeks, we had a mission that had to be completed. And although it was ugly, really ugly AF the last 2 weeks, like the rest of the season, we still got it done. Even Joe Barry's defense stepped up. Jordan Love, big mistakes, absolutely. Big. And I really do hope they get corrected next year. I really do, because these are the same mistakes that were called out in his first game years ago. So whether it's your first full year or not, doesn't even matter. And by the way, it's week 18. Massive mistakes. But damn, this kid can throw. There's no question he's a good quarterback. Time will tell if he's able to become great. If he tightens up his game. But for now, he's damn good. And for now, you throw him the contract, at least 3 years, I'm good with it. He has earned that. His play is damn good. At times, he makes you want to put your dome piece through a brick wall, no question. Balls that are 10 yards overthrown or 4 yards underthrown. Or wide open and he throws it 12 yards to the east or west. Growing pains, BC, right? First full year, BC. He'll get better. Okay, well, that's what we're hoping. I will give him 3-year deal. I think he's earned that. The stats on this kid, it's there. It's about what can you do in the clutch. The last 2 weeks, something's clicking. And once you get that confidence, anything can happen. When somebody is confident, oh man, that's like momentum. It's a magical thing. It's like when Love fumbled the ball in this game. Every Packer fan knew. You went right back to Aaron Jones last year. Remember that? I know. If you're trying to forget it, I won't bring it up anymore. But big fumble by Jordan Love. Big botch. Big mistake. And you as a Packer fan, just like BC, we thought there goes the momentum. It's too late in the third quarter. If this was the first, second, even beginning of the third quarter, okay. But the end of the third, the momentum's going to shift to Chicago. And they just got to tighten it up for the fourth quarter, and they're going to win this thing. Because the Packers were not playing good enough tonight. Even when it was all said and done, it was just a one-possession game, 8 points. This is what I mean. You know, these are games we should have easily won. The Bears did not play good at all. We have so much potential. We drove down the field pretty easily, actually. And time after time, there was a running theme. We walked away with no points. Too many times. To the point where it's too close, and many times this year, we've lost these games. So, this is a big, it's a big W. I know, the first 10 some odd minutes, it sounds like this is a loss, and we're kind of ripping them apart with all the negatives, but this is a team that has so much promise, so much potential, so much capability. And we could do something. We could actually win a playoff game if they went into Dallas or wherever they're going next week and they played up to their standards. The fundamentals, the coaching staff does not lose their team. You do read the room. Everybody knows their job and does it. To a T. We could spoil many teams. At least one next week. But this team has not shown us they can do that. But, man, if we play this bad this year and we finish 9-8 with a playoff appearance, could you imagine if we played better The season's not over. I could be celebrating right now. We could be running around in the street with a cheese head on. No. I choose to get right back to work, just like LaFleur is going to do. Coach LaFleur in the GBP, they got to get right back at it tomorrow. This is big. Instead of just celebrate, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at our next opponent. We'll find that out within the next couple hours. And it's right back to work. How can we possibly spoil this team's playoff Super Bowl hopes? How can we actually win? Not just make the playoffs. We're in it. That's exceptional. I still can't fathom how we did this, but we did it. And I'm ecstatic, even though it doesn't sound it. I am. I'm telling you. But we can do more. Everybody's just going to write us off. Even I just said, I don't see how we're going to be even able to win a playoff game if this team plays the way they have all year. But there's a chance because we're in the dance. Everybody will write us off. All Packer fans will even say, I don't see how we can win the game. But if we did X, Y, and Z, there's a chance you're in the dance. So I am thrilled, I think. I don't know what I'm feeling. I watch these Packer games and I age 10. It doesn't matter if you're 25 years old. After a Packer game, you're going to have more gray hairs than when you went in. You watch a Packer game, you have just aged yourself a good 4 to 5 years, bare minimum. You watch a Packer game, I'm pretty sure we all have, without even knowing it, right? Undiagnosed, we probably have a good 6 or 7 heart attacks. This team does not make it easy. 9-8, and we just squeak into the playoffs. The last week of the season, just like last year. The only difference is the Lions took care of us and we didn't make the playoffs. But it came down to the last snaps of last year, and it comes down to the last snaps of this year. We don't make anything easy. Not even with Favre and Rodgers, by the way. Everybody thinks because we had 30-plus years of amazing quarterbacking, we don't know what it's like to lose. We only have 2 Super Bowls with those 2 quarterbacks, which means bare minimum 28 out of those 30 years, we lost big playoff games. And that'll rip your soul right out. Because a lot of those teams, most of those teams had so much more potential. They just didn't live up to it. This team has a lot. We're all going to write them off. But if they show up, they can do damage. If they show up and they run this game the way they are capable of doing, they could get a W in the playoffs. I don't see how it's possible playing like they are, but I know what they're capable of. We've seen glimmers of it throughout this season. Unfortunately, no top-to-bottom games where they showed you beginning to end, start to finish, what they're capable of. They have not been able to put together complete games. Ironically, the Lions game might have been the only one. Was that the Thanksgiving game? Interesting. We're in the playoffs. I'm still, listen, as a podcaster, I never really run out of words, but this is one of those scenarios. That last 2.5 hours was wild. The fact that they were playing so bad and we were finding a way to try to play worse. The fact that it seemed like we were running down the field so simplistically and it was a 1-possession game the entire game. It's unacceptable. It gives you heart attacks. It makes you want to put your dome piece through a brick wall. And then after the 2.5 hours, you don't even know what just happened. You literally feel like you just lost years off your life. You literally feel like you just went through the mill. Like you've been beaten, thrown through the brick walls, thrown under the Mack trucks, thrown through the ringer, and then somebody just shook you off, smacked you in the face and said, "You ready for next week, kid?" Or the Packers will surely put us through the same angst and agony and struggle and adversity. We're in the playoffs. And that's what matters. If you're wondering, real quick, I'll just run down exactly how we got to the point of 17-9 in this game. The very first possession was the Bears, and the Bears nailed a field goal, 50 yards, and they nailed it. Hard to do when you're the away team. 50-yard field goal. So the Packers come back into field goal range our first possession. The only difference is Love eats a massive 8-yard loss on a sack. Unacceptable. But Carlson just has to hit a 41-yarder. Right? Bears just hit 50. Carlson, who's been missing field goals left and right. In fact, that's what his job is, I guess, right? That's what he's known for. Just go out there and miss field goals. He's missed 5 extra points this year. And 5 separate field goals, and he was about to miss a 6th. Carlson goes out there and shafts a 41-yard field goal. I'm going to say that again. The Bears hit a 50-yarder. Minutes later, the home team, Green Bay, Carlson misses a 41-yarder. What are we doing? This guy's got to go. We all know that, right? Carlson is just not good at his job, right? If you get hired at the local Applebee's and you burn down the restaurant your very first night, you probably should be immediately fired. If your job is a field goal kicker and you miss just as much as you make, you probably should be off the team. Carlson is more than just a wild card at this point. He's more than just inconsistent. He's bad at what he does. And what he does is kick field goals. The problem is he kicks them the wrong way. So it's 3-0, the Bears. Then, thankfully, we catch a stop. Joe Barry's defense decides to show up to work tonight. We get the ball back, we go 92 yards, and Love hits Wicks, who was a game-time decision, by the way. Active in the very last minute, it seemed. Because Watson wasn't in the game again. Watson has been a bust. 2 years we've had Watson. You can't recall a game that he shined in. Couple 2-3 decent games is all he's had. Other than that, inconsistency and injury is Watson's career so far. He's already completed 2 full years in the National Football League. Doesn't seem it, does it? Give it time, PC. Just some bad luck. I don't know. I'm hearing from insiders in the league, this Watson kid, this is not going to be the last time you're going to see him on an extended stay on the IR. That's all I'm going to say. This was way longer than it should have been. Injuries and inconsistencies. That's Watson. Anyway, Wicks thankfully was in this game. 10-yard touchdown after a 92-yard drive, and the Packers go up 7-3. The Bears, right? You finally get a breath, right? 7-3 Packers. You take a breath. Maybe even a second breath. And then the Bears are right back with a field goal. Simplistically drive down the field. If you blinked, it was one blink too many. 7-6. That breath that you took turns into another panic attack. And then the first half ends with Green Bay at Chicago's 22 with 16 seconds left. And we got nothing. I'll say that again. 22-yard line. The Bears 22. 16 seconds. The bare minimum, we're going to get a field goal at least. Nope, we're talking about the Packers. And we walked away with nothing. Clock management issues yet again. This is what I mean. This is Pee-wee fundamentals right here. This is not youngest team in the league. Jordan Love's first full year as a starter. You cannot squander an opportunity. If anything, this starts with the coach. But again, clock management usually does. I feel bad for McCarthy a little bit. He's never been known to be a good clock management coach. But then when you have Aaron Rodgers, this guy will take timeouts when the clock hits 1. Way too often, to the point where I can count at least 23 games where we needed timeouts and Aaron Rodgers squandered them. That's another story. How you don't walk away without at least Anders Carlson missing another field goal. He would have missed it, but at least he gets a chance. Try to make it 50-50 shot at making it. It's the 22. It'd only be a 40-yarder this time. He missed the 41-yarder earlier. It's a yard closer for Carlson. We didn't even get an attempt. Clock management, we go into halftime 7-6, a 1-point lead at home over the horrible Bears. Second half started with Aaron Jones continuing to annihilate the Bear defense, and it concluded with Love to Wicks for a red zone touchdown. That's the second for Wicks. The only person that had a better game than Wicks, I feel, I don't know if the stats show, I will get them over the next hour, but was Bo Melton. Oh, if you saw Bo knows. Bo knew at least in this game. This dude was on the practice squad of Green Bay, and now he's a star. If Watson's going to sit out every single week for the foreseeable future, next year, 10 years from now, you know what? Put in Bo. But in this drive, Wicks, badass TD, 14-6. Really nice throw, too. Everything about it. 14-6, Green Bay. Again, you take a breath. And then the Packers get a chance to hit a dagger in this game. The first dagger, at least. They're at the 50-yard line. If we can score one more, if we can make this a 2-possession game, the way the Bears are playing, even if we continue to play inconsistent, we could walk away with this W. And Love fumbles just past the 50. I always tell you guys, it takes one fumble and the whole tide will change. The whole momentum will change. And momentum is a wild thing, especially in the NFL. Turnovers. The team that always has the most turnovers usually is going to win the game. Turnovers are a dagger. And they will take all the momentum from you. Love, unfortunately, the Packers are the ones that fumbled. Oh, that was a heartbreaker. And it subsequently does indeed turn into 3 for Chicago, 14-9 in favor of the Packers. Love then hits Bo Melton, the aforementioned Bo Melton, for what would have been a touchdown in a game-ending dagger, even that early in the game, third quarter. But upon review, it was overturned, and we had to settle for a field goal. At least Carlson hit it, 17-9 Packers. That could have easily been called a touchdown. I can see why they overturned it, but I've seen calls like that remain. It was originally called a incompletion, then a touchdown, then reviewed. Bears ball on our own 43-yard line, 4th down and 5. I'm going to say that again. It's now the Bears ball, 17-9, 1-possession game. Bears have the ball on our 43. It's 4th and 5. They're going to go for it. This is it. We stop them. That could be ball game. And we go offsides. First down, Chicago. I want you to think about that. The Bears are on the road. The Bears are on the road. And they draw an offsides on us, the home team. Unacceptable come to mind, that word? It's beyond unacceptable. I couldn't believe it. First down, Bears. Again, they didn't get that first down. We did that to ourselves. If you think that's just the youngest team in the league or growing pains and not fundamentals, which I don't care how young you are or how young your team is, that's what you learn in Pee Wee. You cannot do that on a 4th and 5 that starts from the coaching and it has to reverberate into every single player that takes that field. That is beyond unacceptable. We put in a solid defensive stop. We knocked their quarterback Fields out for a little bit there too. A lot of fans on the Chicago side saying maybe it was a dirty hit or it was a dirty hit. No flag was thrown. It be what it be. There was a lot of calls that went against us. Oddly enough, through the first 3 quarters, I think there was no penalties at all. Then it just went off the rails a little bit, or things that should have been called were not. But GBP will take this one. We were able to put that stop up, and then we put a solid drive in at the end of this game. Big plays like Jaden Reed getting 40 to 50 yards catch and another 30 to 40 yards after the catch to set us up in field goal range, but we wouldn't need that. Another badass first down by Aaron Jones would allow Jordan Love to kneel this ball out. Clock it, and the Packers have stamped a playoff appearance and position. The Bears have been out, obviously. The Seahawks, how sweet is that? Those pesky Seahawks. This Packers W, Das Boot for Seattle. And I have to do a little edit here because I have confirmation. The Packers will be headed to AT&T Stadium next week. Wild card playoffs, Dallas Cowboys and the Green Bay Packers. It is official. So that's why if it sounds, man, BC, your team's going to the playoffs, man, you don't seem that happy. Well, that's why. There's a lot of work still to be done. I am thrilled, believe me. At least I believe I am. I'm still trying to comprehend all this, all right? For the last 2.5 hours, this team, like they always do, put each and every one of their fans, they drained us. They drained us. They made it so much more harder than it had to be. So by the time it was over, we're on the floor crawling to get back up. We won. We won, and then you just collapse because you're drained. That's how they leave Packer fans, man. But and now it's the Cowboys, and I just don't want to go into AT&T Stadium and lose this. Even though everyone's gonna write us off, even though if we play like we play, I don't see that there's a way to beat Dallas. But that's the thing. That's why I choose to be a little hard on this team, even in such a big victory. Because there's a lot of work to do. Don't rest on just making the playoffs. Man, we could take this. We could. But there's no way imaginable if we don't play top to bottom, start to finish, beginning to end, complete football. That starts right now. So I'm hoping they're all celebrating getting out of their system because at 7 a.m. tomorrow, it all begins again. Guys, that's what I got. I'm not going to keep you here any much longer, man. I think this was about a half an hour. I'm going to collect my thoughts on this, try to comprehend what just happened, try to fathom how we made the playoffs. But our Packers, we did it. We did it. That's all. The next time I talk to you, maybe I'll have more words. Maybe I'll seem happier. I don't know, man. This was what a year. It ain't over. We're going to Dallas in the playoffs. What is happening? Till next time, and there will be that next time. We did it. We are in. Polish off, dust off your cheese heads. It's not over yet, man. BC, and we'll do this all again next week where the stakes will be higher, and I'm sure the Packers will put us all, it will take more years off of us. More gray hairs. We'll have us on the floor, crawling to get water. Oh, man. Being a Packers fan. Everybody thinks it's all hunky-dory because we had Rodgers and Favre for over 30 years. If you only knew what they put us through. All right, guys. Till next time, and there will be that next time. Go, Pack, go. Straight into Dallas. We have just made the playoffs. Salute. Let's do it. BC saying check you. Next week, let's do it again. Peace. Go long. Go long. Come on. This is going to be Hail Mary style.